Welcome, everybody, to the first Commission on Aging meeting for 2022. Like to call the meeting to order, and before we move on, Jill has something for us. Jill?
I just wanted to say that our longtime commission member Ruth Domack passed away yesterday. She had struggled with pancreatic cancer for a couple of years, so I was lucky to have gone seen her a few weeks ago, and she was a good egg, and she will be greatly, greatly missed. She was a really integral part of the commission as well as the senior center, and so just want to give her some thought and her family today.
Okay. We will miss her.
Yeah.
Okay, first agenda item is the approval of the minutes. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, do I hear a motion?
I'll move approval of the minutes.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Minutes are approved. There are no public appearances, so we'll move on to our first agenda item on the resolution R 23521. Jill?
Okay, so you all got the packet. I did not print out the whole contract, but what I will pull up is a funding memo that kind of gives you a background about the funding that we'll receive this year. This year for our county contract, you can see we'll get $123,835, and I have the breakdown of what that looks like for the programs that it will support. The nutrition is almost $35,000. The Hy-Vee meals is what's really bumping up this contract this year and half of last year, where they're going to give us $21,820 to reimburse Hy-Vee for the meals. So this is a little bit different. The other monies, well, the nutrition and the case management money we receive and we keep. Hy-Vee money, rather than the county paying Hy-Vee directly for those meals, they want to give it to us. We manage those bills. At the end of the year, if we need more money to pay the Hy-Vee bills, we will ask the county for more, and they'll make an adjustment to our contract. And then if we don't spend all the money, we have to give it back to the city. So technically, that Hy-Vee chunk of money is not the city's. We won't be retaining that. It's just to pay for the cost of the meals. When we get nutrition money, as you can see, that money covers salaries, supplies, admin. So that is ours to keep. It never covers the cost of meals. We generally don't see that cost. We don't deal with that expense. There's no reimbursement. But with this situation with Hy-Vee, the My Meal, My Way program, that's the way that they run it. So case management is at $52,000. And then MA case management went up to $15,000. So the difference here is that case management money, that is all of our money. We'll keep that regardless. The MA case management are billable hours. So they look at what we've done over the past several years, and they say this is about how much Fitchburg bills the county, the state, for medical assistance clients. And so then we are reimbursed at a certain rate for the time we spend with anybody that is a medical assistance client. So it looks like we spent more money over the past few years, so they upped us. So generally, we never go under that amount. We get close to it or we go over it, and then that's where you'll see that adjustment. You can see also, too, that our nutrition number funding went up a little bit from $31,000 to $34,000, and so did case management. Nutrition is just based on how many people eat, and it's not really based on a whole lot of criteria. Everybody fills out a form once a year, and those forms go to the county, the state, and then the federal government, and that money is coming from Older Americans Act. So that just goes up based on numbers. The case management, I'm going to show you a formula of where that comes from. So the county approved about $750,000 for case management funding, which gets distributed amongst 12 focal points. We're called the focal point of service. This is the formula that they use. So they look at population, they look at census data, and so then they, based on the census data, they will allocate a certain percentage to different age groups, people living alone, people on food share, minority, rural versus urban. So that is how our money is allocated to Fitchburg. It's based on census data, and then these percentages are applied to every single focal point. So every focal point gets a different amount of money because it's all based on these numbers. So when I talk about the county money that they put in there, which is non-mandated. You know, this 700,000 could go away at any moment, although they have supported the case management program at the local level well over 30 years. And so I hope to never see that disappear. The county has always been very supportive of this. So this just kind of gives you a little background about how they figure out which money goes where. So anyway, based on the population here in Fitchburg and who we serve, you could see that our numbers for funding went up. As I scroll down a little bit, you know, even if you take away the Hy-Vee money, you know, so take away 20,000 just to make it easy, we're still at 100,800. So go back let's go back to 2018. That's not that long ago. That was $67,000. You know, that's a drop in the bucket compared to what we're getting now. 2017 was 59,000. So this just really reflects the increase in the clients that we've served over time, because again, it's based on population. In Fitchburg, meals are based on how many people we serve. So now we're up to 100,000. So the contract is pretty boilerplate from year to year. It really entails us. It has a certain amount of hours that we have to meet in clients, and then a lot about how we report our information back to the county that we have to comply with. So, any questions?
In 2022, when we absorb the town of Madison.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've already reached out to the county. We're really trying to identify how many older adults are in the census tracts, because, you know, we have to kind of pick and choose. So when we absorb the town of Madison, it'll be just one quarter, October, November, and December. So I'm hoping they're going to reallocate a little bit more money here to case management and nutrition. You know, we don't know how many people we're going to serve. It doesn't look like at this point that it's Newbridge, Madison that serves town of Madison. They could only say, they weren't super specific, but they did not have a lot of people they were serving meals to. So if we roll those nutrition numbers into our program, it might not impact us very much. The biggest concern I have isn't reflected on the case management nutrition. It's based on transportation. So I'll be working with the transportation coordinator or manager at Dane County, because that will be a larger allocation of transportation hours to us to cover that area, but I don't know what that looks like. So at this point in time, I don't have any specifics. I can't guarantee we're going to get a nice little chunk of money to add to this contract, but they will try to crunch some numbers. I've reached out to several people to try to figure this out. Certainly we won't get less. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Linda?
Do you know how many people were served as we move through these years? I know you know it, but I don't know if you have it available.
You know, off the top of my head, I can say, we'll have, Dave will be here next month to do the annual report, and that's when we really crunch the numbers. I think, you know, overall in all activities and programs, we're probably close to, you know, 1,600 unduplicated. For case management, we're probably looking at 300, you know, but that doesn't include outreach or the one touch, you know, can you help me with a Medicare D, or I need loan equipment. So maybe throw in another 300. Again, I'll have more specifics you can look back at the years next month.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anybody on Zoom?
If not, do I hear a motion to approve this resolution?
Second.
It's been moved and approved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Opposed? Okay, the resolution is passed.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Marcia, report from the Friends Group.
Oops.
Yes, good morning. The first thing I want to mention, and I mentioned it last month as well, but on the 19th, which is not too far away, there will be a travel show. And you may see some flyers that look like this, nice orange, red, blue, and at the bottom, kind of giving you a hint as to whether places that will be, people will be encouraged to travel to during 2022. So those flyers are being posted or have been posted around the center and around the community. And that travel show is Wednesday, January 19th at 1 p.m. And it'll be upstairs at the community center. The Friends supported senior center clients with special needs in the amount of $405. The Friends also paid for the Thanksgiving meals, which amounted to $184. If you visit the senior center, take a look at our showcase, which is down by the Swan Creek Room. You'll find a photo of the entire board of directors, as well as activities that we've supported over the last couple of years. And that's about it. Any questions?
Okay, thanks to the Friends for everything that you do for the senior center.
Yeah.
The director's report.
Okay, I'm gonna start out with an update about COVID. Well, at least the update in terms of where we're at the senior center. It's been a rough week. Well, it's been a rough 3 years. This time, making decisions seemed a lot harder just based on the Dane County guidelines, which were a little looser than before. It was a lot easier to close our doors when everything else in the community and everywhere across the country was being shut down. We saw a lot of negative effects of social isolation this last time. And so we took that very seriously when discussing what to do. So I had a couple discussions with the city administrator and HR about what we should do. There are many senior centers in Dane County that have pulled all recreational activities and are only doing home-delivered meals, congregate meals, but like 1 or 2 at a table, and case management services. After a lot of talk and discussion, each senior center is very unique in terms of who we serve and how we serve them. We felt it was best to keep our doors open and give people the option of coming or not. We have a lot of things on Zoom, but what we are doing is we are packaging up meals for people to take home, because what we realized ever since COVID, our in-person nutrition numbers have escalated. Just this Monday, we had 30 signed up for lunch, and based on the weather and everything, we only had 3 cancel. And I'm looking out in the dining room, and everybody, we have reduced how many sit at a table, but everybody is unmasked for, a nice period of time. So to me, that felt like the most risky situation, was to have everybody around eating for this length of time. But I didn't want to cancel the meals, because then people can't come in for exercise. Or they can't get out here and being socially isolated. And I had a lot of comments from our dining people that really, really were saddened to hear us close our doors. And so after some discussion with Dane County, we are able to package up the meals to take home. And so now we'll be offering an option of coming in on the bus as normal, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then taking your meal home. So you can either sit and read the paper while we're packing your meal up, or you can go up to exercise, and then after that, the bus will take you home with your prepackaged meal. We're gonna cancel meals altogether on Tuesdays and Thursdays to just reduce people in the dining room. Those are our lower attended days because we don't have a lot of activities right around that lunch hour. Is still 15. I think today we have 15 or 16. Tuesday, we were supposed to have 17. People canceled. We just felt like the impact of canceling those days altogether wasn't as high because it's not our biggest days. And to make sure that their nutritional needs are met on those days. When they come Monday, we're going to give them 2 meals to take home for Tuesday. When they come Wednesday, we'll give them 2 meals to take home for Thursday. And then when they come Friday, we always give them a meal for the weekend. And those supplemental meals are going to come from Little John's. We reached out to them to see if we could up what they were donating to us because they were just coming on Friday, so now they're going to add an extra day. And then we'll have the extra food for Thursday as well. So anyway, we're gonna try this out for 3 weeks. And then we're gonna reevaluate, and we're gonna hope that things, the virus starts to go down, the hospitalizations aren't quite as high, and we do know this virus, people aren't getting as sick, and it's just a tough situation for anybody, everywhere, all of us. I'm just going to read a statement that went out on our Facebook and our email, and I had run by the city administrator to make sure he was comfortable with it. We put out there, the city of Fitchburg and the senior center take the risks associated with COVID seriously. Since the beginning of the outbreak, the city has followed the Dane County Public Health guidelines and will continue to do so. At this time, the senior center will not be canceling any programs or services, although we will be making some adjustments to our congregate meal program beginning January 17th through February 11th. This date may be extended if circumstance warrant. These changes are an attempt to reduce people being unmasked for long periods of time. If group facilitators or paid instructors are uncomfortable with face-to-face classes, we fully support their decisions to cancel their programs, and if possible, we will offer a Zoom alternative. This is a difficult time, and we want to do what is best while still allowing personal choice. Your safety is our main priority. By continuing to wear your masks, remaining home if you are sick, and making good choices in regards to your health and the health of others, we feel we can keep our doors open to the public. So that's a statement that we put out, and I have some peace with it. It hasn't been easy. But I think that, again, hopefully people are making good choices. We're very strongly enforcing the mask mandate. I know it loosened up a little bit after everybody's vaccinated and boosted. It just felt like there was some breathing room, but that's no longer the case. If you look at the Dane County guidelines, it says, well, if you're all in a room and you're all vaccinated, you don't have to wear your mask, if you all agree to that. And, we had a group point that out to me the other day, and I said, unfortunately, I can't, that is one thing I'm not gonna let go anymore. We have to wear our masks here if we wanna keep our doors open. Everybody has been so compliant because the need to be out is really high. And I don't want to isolate people this time around. If we do see a terrible spike at the center, I won't lie, we did have 3 people that we can identify that did have COVID that come to the senior center regularly. Now, I don't know if they got it. I don't think they got it from us based on some of the details that they shared with me. But it's happening. It's happening around us. Luckily, none of my staff, after all this time, I'll probably jinx us, but none of us have had it. We've had exposures or family members, but we've all been safe. So we're lucky that way. So I'm really hoping that this will meet a lot of needs while still trying to keep people safe. So that's where we're at.
I think you're doing really a good job of handling a really tough situation. I commend you.
Thanks. Thanks. Go ahead, Dave.
I just want to say, God bless you for your courage in this decision. Closing this down is far bigger risk to our senior citizens than having it open. So thank you. I really applaud your courage, and this is in the best interest of our seniors. And hang in there. I think by middle of March, end of March, we'll be over this hump, and we'll be moving back to normal.
Thanks. Yeah, and I wanted to applaud, our volunteers as well. Both Donna and Barb being meal drivers and, Jim's running the men's group. We had a couple home-delivered meal participants that just out of the blue, the drivers informed us, oh, so-and-so told me today they had COVID. And, we didn't even know that. And so, you just have this guilt of how are we going to keep people safe? And right after that, Mandy put out to every volunteer, please, if you want to step away, step away. We will pick up the slack, absolutely. And one person said they just weren't comfortable, and it wasn't a driver, and it's somebody that has some issues, so they just wanted to be extra safe. So out of all of these amazing volunteers, just one person was like, I think I'm going to step back, but everybody else is still going strong. So I'm so, just grateful for the people around us that still want to continue as well. So anyway, it's a gratitude to everybody, and we will get through it. So, yeah. Okay. All right, moving on. Like I mentioned, Dave will be here next month. I might next month or the next month to do the annual report. We were going to have an update from Wade from planning and zoning on the hub, because they've got some exciting things going on there. Unfortunately, he didn't have enough data to bring this month, so he will be here for sure in February to share that. I want to bring Dave on board, and then I also want to bring Amy and Sarah to talk a little bit about where things are going with case management. And I might do that in May as we do a switchover of members. Update on the new social work position. So, we had the approval to do the shared social work position with the police department. And we did an internal posting because Sarah Folkers, our current social worker, is going to transition into that role. It's really exciting. It's a exciting opportunity for her. I think it's a great fit. I didn't expect it. It was very, a couple weeks before we were going to post it, she came to me and said, I think I'm interested. And so anyway, we've met with the police chief, and we're really excited to get going on this. Sarah's been reaching out to other police departments that have social workers embedded in them to get some more information about how they run their programs. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We see a lot of situations like that across the country and right here in Wisconsin. So she's doing a lot of background work so she can hit the ground running. I'm really excited to work with the police chief. He's very flexible. He understands this is a new program as well. So, what we put out there might look a little different 3 months later, but it's just an exciting time, I think, for the police department and the city as well, as we look at some model like this that puts a social worker in that position. So given that she's going to slide into this position, we'll be advertising. Actually, the advertising went out today or yesterday. It's Tuesday, for the new social work position. So we're going to post that for 2 weeks, and we hope to have a start date near the end of February for that. So we'll be hiring somebody new, which, it's like having a new baby in your family. We've all been at the senior center for so long, and we're going to bring a new person on board. And so, there's a lot of great challenges that go with it. Like, we need to clean up our act a little bit. And, what do things look like around here? And just reviewing a lot of things. So it's an exciting time for us. Transportation, I'm very grateful to continue working with Andrew, the city's transportation engineer. And we're just identifying a lot of questions and different scenarios, sort of 2 tracks. One, what does it look like if the senior center were just going to get their own transportation? How does the city play into that? And then what does it look like if the city expands their supplemental transportation, and how does that serve seniors as well as the community at large? So I feel really hopeful to be working with Andrew. And so once we sort of get our ducks in a row, we'll go to the city administrator and the finance director to say, here's a couple proposals, here's what they might cost, here's some possible funding sources. I know I talked about the grants, 5310 grants, which can do both equipment and operating. So anyway, we have some options, but I guess I'm most excited that this topic is staying, at the top of the pile. Go ahead, Dave.
council met last night, committee of the whole, and we're looking at how to spend this money that the federal government printed and gave us, approximately 3.2 million. And one thought I had, another alder mentioned it, was possibly we could use that money to buy the bus, buy a transit bus. And so I understand we're working with Andrew, but I wonder if you could, I don't want you to do too much work, but give me an idea what it would cost, and I'll forward an amendment to, there's no guarantee, what we'll spend it on, but I could forward that amendment. This is one-time money. We can only, it would not include future operating expenses, and but the bus itself is a big lump sum, and I have no idea what it would cost, Jill. So
Well,
I
do.
suspect you've looked at this.
I
and so-
do. I
Yeah.
think at this, right now, if we go through the state contract, we could get a 14-passenger bus with a wheelchair lift, say around 65,000. So that might give and take a little bit, but just based on some research I've done, and I've talked to Sun Prairie, who purchased both a van and a bus with a wheelchair lift. I think it was back in 2018. So prices might be a little bit different, but that, it's no less than probably 60,000, but somewhere in that ballpark.
I will, I'll propose an amendment to the mayor for 75,000 to purchase a van or a bus. And, this, obviously, it's one time, the operating cost, who we could get to drive it, that would have to be figured out, but at least we get over maybe the first hurdle. And, like I say, we have it there, and I think we can figure out how to operate it, but.
Right, and that's some of the stuff that Andrew and I have been fleshing out, is looking at, different areas that do have contractual shuttles, like Sun Prairie and Monona, and what does that look like from a contractual standpoint versus.
I'd be honest with you, I would prefer some sort of contractual thing versus the city having to own this, and
Correct.
That would far be my preference, even if it was, if the cost was slightly higher, then we're not maintaining a bus and.
Well, right, and
everything else.
my concern was, if the city would hire a driver, we have one driver, and if that driver gets sick, that's troublesome. Not that,
Yes,
we
yes.
wouldn't need a CDL, so any of us could jump in that bus at any time. And I can tell you, in a former life, I drove a 14-passenger bus with a wheelchair lift many, many years ago, and I was really good at it. So I could drive that bus, but I prefer not to. But, yeah, so we'll look at the contractual more.
I certainly would prefer a contractual, I think in the long run, don't have to maintain a vehicle and everything else, but I can put this, I guess it's the board's preference, would you like me to put this in see where it goes?
Let me talk to Andrew too and see where we're at with that. If we can get it in, it's easier to pull out if we come up with something else. What's the timeline to put this in?
It's, we have to spend the money sometime in the next kind of approximately 2.5 years, maybe upwards of 3 years, but,
Okay,
but we'll be making the decisions here in the next, month and a half or 2 months,
Okay.
where it's going to be allocated. Obviously we don't have to spend it immediately, but,
Right.
If it's not allocated, it's, then it's.
right, it goes somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Dave,
all right.
is it possible to put in for that, as you said, 75,000, and just put it under transportation and not designate it as a bus or a contractual thing?
I don't know, Jim, I can find out, but it is a one-time cost, or a one-time, lump sum that you would spend, it would not include, future, like I say, operating expenses and things, but I don't know the answer to that question, I guess, maybe, Joel, do you want to talk to Andrew about that?
Yep, I can look into it. I think you might be right. If it's a one-time cost, we might not be able, unless you just said we'll pay for 1 year of contractual. But where are you going to find the money? So after that. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'll
yeah.
talk to Andrew about that.
Yeah, and I never want to do anything where, we don't have a path going forward to fund it. I know other council members will do that, and I always, we can add this person, we do this, and then the next year we have a big hole, so. I'm just looking to what would make the most sense for us to get our seniors, facilitate getting them from their homes, to use the services at the center, and if it is a bus the city owns, I'll go with that, but I would prefer, that we don't own this stuff. I would prefer to contract it, even if it does cost us more. But again, this is the board's decision, not mine, not mine singularly.
Right, and I think the work that Andrew and I continue to do will help the board make that decision if we can give some real specifics about, what if we own the bus, but we do a contractual driver or vice versa, or,
Oh, okay.
so that's what
Yeah,
we're kind of
yeah, okay.
fleshing out right now. It's just all these different scenarios and what does that look like and what are the costs now upfront and ongoing. So I'll keep you in the loop.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll roll to the next thing, bigger project is the patio. I'm still pursuing that we create a really nice outdoor seating place outside the main entrance of the senior center on the lower level. Started working with Bill Balke a little bit. I'd worked with him previously in Public Works to help with a little bit of a design. Because we do have to meet the standards from the Fitchburg Center in terms of materials and planting and landscaping, that sort of thing. It needs to be, I guess, a little higher scale than I originally had thought, but I am still pursuing that. And we'll see where that goes. We are hoping to get, once we get sort of what our needs are, Bill said he would help me maybe bid this out to some contractors so we could see what that cost is. And then based on that cost, it would help us decide, and I mentioned this to the friends, can we do a fundraiser for this? This sort of project, to me, is exciting to fundraise for because I think the people that will donate hopefully will maybe even enjoy it. And it's so tangible and so visual, and it will really build the aesthetics of the senior center when you walk up there. And so that's in the works, so working on that. Town of Madison, all the department heads have been given directive to make a task list of what needs to happen with a timeline. And on our task list, some of the things that we are going to start working on is just making sure we have some solid marketing materials just to get out to older adults there, what our services are. We need to think about if we do have a lot of meals, do we create a new home-delivered meal route? And then again, if people want to get here, how do we get them to the senior center? And then working with the county about funding, reallocating some of that funding from Town of Madison that will then come to the city of Fitchburg. So that will be here before we know it. So working on that. Overall, just at the center, we've got the Edgewood nursing students starting in a couple weeks, as well as we're working with UW med students again. And that's always nice, depending on what Edgewood dictates. It might be more of a virtual thing with the Edgewood students and the medical students, so we'll see. But it's always nice to work with the students. Tax help is a huge program for us. And we are starting to take appointments now. It's been a long planning process, again, to just make sure people can be safe, mostly the tax preparers too. And so, in the past, you made an appointment, you sat with your tax person, they did your taxes, uploaded it, and you could go home. To keep it safe, the person makes an appointment, they come and pick up their papers, they fill everything out, they come back, the tax appointment person scans them all in. They leave, the tax person does their taxes, and then they have a third appointment to meet with them and just to review it. So it's a little more of a lengthy, I guess, more cumbersome process, but there's such a need for this, so I'm really happy that we can provide safe tax help, so that will start in February. I can tell you, we put in January's newsletter, like, do not call us until January 12th, because we don't have it all up and running. And of course, people were calling, and by yesterday's staff meeting, both dates in February were full. So usually it's around 15 to 20 people each time, just like that. So we know that people need this kind of service. So I'm thankful to the AARP tax volunteers who put this all together and work with us. And then we're working on a virtual housing sort of tour showcase for late spring that will do a virtual tour of all the new senior housing coming down the pike. So we think that would be really helpful for folks in Fitchburg or wherever to see if this is if these apartments are a place that they would want to live. You know, we hope that the management companies can do those virtual tours so we can have them online, and then they can do a Q&A about their housing. And so Dave's working right now on that. We hope to do that in this spring.
For that virtual tour, the men's group was talking about concerns about there's nothing that shows all of the amenities that these various places have.
Right.
So when you talk to them, can you ask them to include, you know, what kind of amenities do they have? What kind of programming do they have? And
Oh,
stuff
yeah,
like that?
this will be a time for them to toot their horn, and they certainly will make those amenities sound lovely. So, yeah, absolutely. But I think it would be really nice, just for us as a staff, too, to hear about all these places that are popping up. Let's see. Plan for growth. Linda and Barb and Nan, who Hoffman is on this group. We met this month, and thank you for the approval of the mission statement. We are going to include that new mission statement now in our newsletter, as well as in our marketing and our legacy brochure, and the vision statement too. And then, you know, I go in with a little agenda, and then when we leave, I have a list of things to do, thanks to the group, which I really appreciate. It always is something different than what I tend to go in thinking, oh, here's what we'll accomplish today. But that's what I love about this group, because they're very visionary. And we kind of have a long-term vision, and then these nice steps that get us there. One of the tasks is we're looking at just developing a stronger partnership with the library and the recreation department, because we do see a lot of crossover in the people that we serve, and so we're going to strengthen and build on those relationships. And then we talked a lot about the Friends group and the fundraisers and the Friends raisers, and how we maybe do some more friend raisers, and what does that look like, and sort of just kind of reimagine aging by remarketing the senior center. So I'm thankful to the group and their input. Linda, do you have anything to add, or Barb? No, okay, so we meet monthly. Yeah.
Ken, are you addressing a vision for our involvement with the hub at all?
We haven't specifically, but that, based on this broader scope of looking at the community and services as a whole, I think that will come into play for sure. Wouldn't you say, Linda and Barb?
I agree with that.
Yeah. And let's see what else. I think that's it. That's it. Otherwise, things, like I said, things are going like gangbusters at the senior center, and so. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jill. Any questions for Jill?
Awesome.
Okay, thank you. Any announcements at the end here? Our next meeting I have down as February 10th at 8:30. If there are no further announcements, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Move adjournment.
Seconded.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.